Welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Life Podcast. I'm Karen Stultz, your host, and I am the creator of the Awesome Life system to help online coaches release the issues that are keeping them from enjoying life and enjoying their business and making it awesome, right? And today I have, just like all my guests, another awesome guest. And oh my gosh, we've been talking a little bit before about this. This is Tammy De Mirza. And I met Tammy through, if you know me, you know the Everyday Wholeness show that I do with my partner, Janet Uribe. And Janet introduced me to Tammy De Mirza, and I've been wanting to meet her for 2 years now. So I am so excited to have her with us. Tammy is an intuitive medium, author, healer of amazing dimension. And I just can't wait for you to be inspired by this amazing lady. So thank you for joining me, Janet. This is so exciting.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So tell me, how did I know that you were an artist, or maybe you still are, but this level where you are now, I know we're going to share more of that as we continue talking, but where you are now, how did that come to be?
It's an interesting story, and this is definitely a part of my history and part of my curriculum, so that I would know things, so that I would experience things, so that I would immerse myself into things, so that I could actually communicate with people. So what happened is, we didn't really go to church, and at the age of 11, a Southern Baptist pastor came over to my grandmother's house, and she came with him, and he's talking to me mainly, although my sister's older, and she was sitting there. My mother's in the room, my grandmother's in the room. And he said, "Do you know about God and his love?" And I'm like, "Wait, what's love?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm not loved. I need to know about that." So, because there was 2 generations of a lot of abuse in the room. So I knew that the way he was talking about love, I didn't know. So then he talks about Jesus, God's son, heaven, hell. And I just looked at him and I said, "I'm sorry, but heaven and hell doesn't feel good. So can we talk about the love part?" And so he talked about, the sinner's prayer. I prayed the prayer, but for me, it was introducing and inviting love. It was introducing and inviting a connection, a way to become myself. So what happened is, I was obviously intuitive, but didn't know it. And then overnight, every single thing changed. What colors I wanted to wear, what food I wanted to eat, who I wanted to be friends with, who I wanted to talk to. All of a sudden, I know things about the people sitting next to me. I'm called the counselor in school. People would call me and ask for advice, and I would tell them things. And I'd go to friends and say, "Why didn't you tell me this?" I know it. I would have prayed about it. And then they'd go tell their parents, and then you can't hang out with her anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So that journey of having this spontaneous, immediate awakening is what I call it, where I'm knowing that I'm not loved, and I need to know about this. And so that invitation really is what set everything starting to happen. For some people, it's an NDE, for some people, it's a car wreck, it's whatever, lightning strike. No, it was just overnight. And so I asked my sister 2 weeks later if she was experiencing anything like this. Has anything changed? Do you feel any different? And she's like, "No, nothing." And I said, "Well, do you think, based on what the pastor said, do you think I got saved because you said old things would be new?" And she went, "Yeah, maybe you did and I didn't." And we never discussed it again. And then that familiar male voice I associated with God, and I started asking questions, and I started asking, why does this feel this way? Why do some of the scriptures in the Bible feel really good? I feel saturated with love. And then some of them, I want to throw the Bible across the room, because man has interpreted and reinterpreted and reinterpreted, and it's not even God's word, and it's fear-based. And I was feeling all of this and I didn't know what to do, Karen. So I'm wanting to be of service, but also in trauma. So in my early 20s, I started scanning people's bodies all of a sudden.
Oh,
They would come in and I would say, oh, you have a mass in your right abdomen, or you were
oh
diagnosed
my
with lung cancer. And
gosh, you did medical stuff too, medical intuitive.
in
Wow.
my early 20s, and every single time I laid my hands on somebody, they were healed. And then I started putting together, it's like I've been studying humankind, human behavior, psychology from a different perspective. From I get people to come to my door, and even knowing sometimes within 2 days, this person's going to come, they're suicidal, they live in the mountains, we're going to guide them to your house. So many things were happening to me. My house became a revolving door because people started hearing about this. She healed me. No, I just laid my hands on you and believed. But I also knew about the doctors. I knew how long they'd been given to live. I knew what their test was the next day, what time the test was. So I'm giving all of this information. And what I noticed, Karen, was that I would say most people were healed and outright, and they never came back. Some were healed and they'd come to me for the next thing. And then I'd help them with that. And then they'd come back again. And I'm like, what's happening? And this man was diagnosed and he only had 6 weeks to live. And if you know statistics, when a doctor tells a patient, you've got 6 weeks to live, you've got 18 months, you've got 2 weeks, they will die on that day. 80% of them will. So I knew intuitively the chances of you dying in 6 weeks is really high. And I said, do you want to be healed? Yes. All I have to do is lay my hands on you and believe. And so I laid my hands on, the cancer went away. And then 9 months later, he's diagnosed with another illness. It's not fatal, but it's going to be something that brings pain for the rest of his life. And I'm like, what's going on here? I mean, I'm more excited than they are. The next time they see me at church, they don't know what to do with me. Just like I was in Morocco with a client doing a life and breakthrough transformation last November. And I'm teaching her how to be a healer. And I said, oh, by the way, if I tell you to get up right now, you need to get up right now. The general manager that has been coming to us and telling us about his pain, I think he wants our touch. So he came again. And I was telling her, I said, you see, I asked him to come again for confirmation. And then I said, when I tell you now, she gave permission. I said, now get up right now. We got to go. We walked in the lobby and he was walking straight to us. And he brought up the pain again. And I said, you had a motorcycle accident yesterday. And he said, yes. And I said, well, you have been talking about how different we are. We're not the normal people that come in your hotel. I spoke very good English. This is in Marrakesh. And he said, yes. And I said, I'm going to tell you why. We are people that instigate healing in people. And I know that your spirit is interested in this, but I have to ask you physically for permission. Do you want to get rid of the pain and the ailments? And he said, yes. And he put his arms out and I said, we're not doing this in public right here. I need to go into a back room somewhere. So I said, can I use her? I'm her mentor. Can I use her to tell her what to do, instruct her, and help you at the same time? So he's watching this. He's standing, he's hurting, he's limping. And I tell her what to do. I tell her how to do her hands. I'm reading what she's doing. Pull back. Do not project anything to him. Project, just stand there and stay in your lane and just put your hands forward. And then I said, now you feel it. I was telling him everywhere. I wasn't touching him. I got behind him and said, now I need to step in. Do I have permission to touch your body? Because I did not have her touching him. It was just, like this far. He said, yes. And I said, I'm going to have to touch your right hip. I need to put my hand on the side of your fanny. Is that okay? Yes. As soon as I did, I'm telling him, because I can read the energy, just like when I'm doing workshops or public things. If somebody comes in with a migraine, I'll look at them and I will say, don't worry, I'm going to get to you when you shift. And as soon as they shift, I'll say, I'm sorry, I got to stop, got to help with the pain. She can't listen. Come up here, sweetheart. And then I'll tell her it's 10% better, it's 30% better, it's 90% better, it's gone. And
Wow.
so that ability started being developed in my 20s. But I was really upset that I couldn't figure out why people were still getting sick. I mean, if you're healed, why would you get sick with something else?
Yeah.
And then I asked about it, and Spirit said, Tammy, you're not dealing with root. Now, I didn't know at 21, 22, I didn't know what that meant, the root of it. All I know is I have these abilities and I'm using them. And then I finally figured it out, and I took 13 years off because I was in a dysfunctional, abusive marriage. And I said, it's not fair for you to send people to me. I need to take care of my own house. And I took 13 years off, Karen. I did not say God's name. I didn't pray. I didn't say anything religious or spiritual or anything. And then all of a sudden, a manager of, I was a master seamstress, soft goods designer, fabricator. I'm an artist. I paint. And I'm in his store, and he said, when are you coming back? And this is Tuesday. And I said, Thursday. And he said, I'm bringing you a book. And I went, oh no, it's going to start again. Because when I got mad at God and I shook my fist and I said, take this from me. I'm not mature enough. I really felt like I wasn't mature enough. And then when I started to see that I was more of a stop sign instead of an arrow, pointing them to themselves and pointing them to the non-physical, I was just the stop sign. And that's why I pulled out. And for 13 years, I didn't. And then when he handed me that book, I felt it run through my body. And I'm like, oh, okay. I did say that if I got myself in a position of healing, if I could do it with love, then bring it back. And it came back.
Isn't it amazing how those things happen? I mean, it is so amazing. I'm constantly hearing an idea and following through and a desire. We always ask for help, right?
Yes.
We always help for healing, ask for guidance, ask for help. And I do the same. And I was not always into the possibilities as you were at age 21. I didn't even really start believing.
Right.
And now as I look back, I said, girl, you've always believed. You just had a knowing. You had a knowing of what was right and what was wrong. You just didn't know what it was.
Right.
And that is kind of, I think, a little bit of what you're saying there. But I love that experiment and knowing that you didn't take it all in and own.
I couldn't. It was too much, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then when I saw people mistreating me or talking bad about me behind my back, when I know that they were supernaturally healed and just like that, then I'm going, at what cost?
Yeah.
Because now I'm a freak. Now I don't fit in. Now I'm talked about. Now I'm judged. Now I'm hurt.
Now we put up our barriers around us, our shields to protect us from all that stuff.
Yes. And you can't. You are going to experience the equal and the opposites with the laws of polarity, no matter what you do. So you're going to have people love you. You're going to have people hate you. Now, I tell people I just fly my freak flag and go, come to me or run from me. I'm good either way. I'm good. I understand it. I understand why they quit. I understand why they start. I will even know when a client is on their way out. I'll know for months ahead, usually, when I'm mentoring. And I'm like, okay, I can see you're at the crossroads, you're making a decision. I will know when you make the decision to grow further or whether or not you want to stop because this is too much pain to do the work. And some people actually do that. And I have no feelings about it because I know it doesn't have to be through me, first of all, certainly not that arrogant. I know that they're going to get it even if it's 500 more lifetimes. Yeah. They will learn how to walk. So I'm not tied to it. I'm not, back then I was. How did you respond? What did that feel like for you? What was it like to find out that the doctors confirmed what I said, the mass is gone?
Yeah.
Very next morning. And I'm like, but go have the test at 10:30 at the hospital because you need that validation. And then to see them going another way at church, or, you know, and even the general manager at this hotel, he immediately was out of pain. He wasn't limping anymore. That we checked on him that night. We checked on him the next morning, and he said, my family's freaking out because my family knew I was in trouble and they're freaking out. My wife is kind of mad. And I'm like, I told my client, I said, you're getting to see what it's like to participate in a person getting free, and then what he's going to choose after that. And that is when you just look at them and say, God, you're beautiful. And the highest good in me sees how brave you are to go through this curriculum. And then when you think about the curriculums, Karen, I know you know something about this, of really what we set up to go through. It's pretty stunning.
It is, isn't it? And let me ask you though, if somebody does say, yes, go ahead and heal me, Tammy. Yeah, go for it. But they don't believe it will work. Does the belief overshadow any of the healing process that you can do?
You are so brilliant. And let me tell you why. I don't even offer or tell people that I can lay my hands on them and heal them anymore. What I do is tell them I will scan your body and tell you what is there. Once I give you the clarity, you choose whether you want it healed or not. So now the work that I do is with the subconscious, it's with the mind, it's with the spirit. It's the spirit, mind, body, where I am communicating with the spirit of the individual, with the team who constantly dances when somebody, look, she changed. Oh my God, the energy changed. And they're dancing and they're high-fiving and they're going, hot damn. I mean, it's funny, how they act and how excited they get. But when you're able to communicate and you're able to read the energy of it, and this one story is in my book, if you don't mind me sharing it.
Oh, I love
There's
it.
a lady.
Tell us the name of your book.
It's The Inmate and the Medium.
Oh,
and I'm not the inmate. So I went into a prison system and applied the laws of attraction and A Course in Miracles and my teachings and what it is that I do and my intuitive abilities. And the inmate got out of prison years before he was supposed to, by using spiritual laws. And nobody would listen to him. He had 29 years. He was deemed as a drug kingpin. He was highly intelligent, didn't have one tattoo, no gold teeth. It's very clean cut, very intelligent. But he was reading the books, but he didn't know how to apply the material.
You need a mentor for that.
Yes. So I say that I am that intercessor that sees where you are and how you're functioning. And then the truth about who you are, this is the fake identity, this is the real identity. And I bridge that gap. And I help to connect and help them to remember and become one and become whole. So I was doing that process with him. And I met this lady at a Course in Miracles meeting, and she wanted a session. And I did the session, and I could tell that she was getting very angry. And I was like, why are you, in my mind, I'm like, why is she getting angry? I know that this is truthful. She's validating that there's no way that I can know the stuff I'm saying. I'm not really understanding why she's getting mad. And then there was only 5 minutes left to the session, and I did something very unusual. And I said, where are you going? Right after the session. And she said, to the grocery store, cook dinner. And I said, don't. It's 4 o'clock. Please listen to me. Please go straight to the doctor. You have a tumor. And I started coming near her head. It was right here. And I started to come near her to show her that it was the size, and it was right here. And as I got closer to her, she's like, get off of me. And I went, okay, but now I'm seeing you, and you're in a hospital hallway, and you've got a man here and a woman here, and you're on a walker, and you're learning how to walk. Why am I seeing this? I mean, clear as day, remotely viewing. This was about to happen. She gets mad. I don't have a problem walking. And she leaves. And then 2 times, I all of a sudden saw her. It's like the clouds awaken and I'm remotely viewing something. And I saw her putting me down and calling me a liar and a charlatan. And I'm a trickery and I'm a witch and I'm this. And guess what? Within 6 weeks, this ruptured, almost killed her. And she's going down the hall on the walker with a man here and a woman here. And all of a sudden, spirit opens up and helps her remember that I foretold this, which is not typically what I do. But whatever the person needs, you are so intimately known. Everything about you is so known that what you need is what comes out of my mouth. Because I'm an innocent saying, how can I be of service? How can I be of service? And not only did she remember that, but she remembered every single thing that I said in the session, and she was crying. And so months later, she gets in touch and she's crying. And I said, I'm not going to call her name because I protected her because of why she wanted to leave and the rest of the story. And it's in the book if you want to read it, because I'm sure I'm saying it from a different vantage point. But
let us know how to get it. I'll put it in our show notes.
It's on Amazon.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
It's on
Amazon. Put it in the show notes.
Yeah, just look up my name and there you go. And then what happened is that I started scanning. I didn't touch her head, but I'm scanning the back of her head. And I said, you came here to be healed outright, right? She said, yes. I said, you're lying. You didn't come here for physical healing. You came here for emotional healing. You decided to go 6 weeks ago. And I can tell you where you were and what you were doing. And I can tell you why. And I did.
When you say go, you
transition.
Transition.
Leave the body behind. Die, whatever you want to call that term. To me, there is no death.
Yeah, right.
So I said, so can I start again with the truth intention? And I started scanning her body and I'm just sitting here with my hands on her head and I got down to her hips and I said, wait, there it is. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be graphic, but there's an old lady. I'm watching her take fecal matter out of her, and that's not how I said it, out of her pants and smearing it on the wall, and she's throwing it on the wall in a bedroom. She breaks. John breaks, starts crying. And I said, you don't have to speak. I'll tell you the rest of it. This is your mother-in-law. And your mother-in-law got mad at you because you didn't think she was well enough to take care of herself. And with this beautiful heart that you have, you thought that you could rescue her and help her and take care of her. That's the whole problem of your life. That's why you want to leave. You're in codependence and you don't know how to get out. And you're in that with your husband and your daughters and anybody else. You're a servant. You didn't come here to be a servant. And I said, so she's mad at you and you are afraid you'll be punished for that. And when she got that healing from that in the emotional realm, then she died 6 weeks later. And I told her, I said, I'll know when you go. You're going to come to me. I'll know. And she did. And it was beautiful because sometimes healing is in so many different forms. And the way that I knew it in my 20s was not just by scanning the body and laying my hands on people, but also seeing the energy and the entities around them. I was doing this before I knew that I was a medium. I didn't know what to call myself. So I was also getting rid of that. I was seeing these beings and I was talking to them, and I didn't have anybody to mentor me. So I would just go to the Bible and say, do you say anything about this? What's not corrupted? Is the truth in there? And yes, you can get around what man is reinterpreted, like women being submissive, that so many people are trying to live by, was put in there in 1610. It was not in the original Greek.
Exactly. Exactly. I have this conversation with a lot of people, and like you, they leave and say, Karen's out of her mind. This is the word of God. But, let's just be rational and look at whisper. You have 10 people in the room. You whisper things around to all 10. And by the time you get to the 10th one, it is a whole different story.
Yes.
So if the Bible wasn't written until a minimum of 300 to 600 years later,
reinterpretation. That's why there's 4 different accounts of different things.
exactly.
And people aren't looking at that as being common sense.
Exactly.
But you can't say that it's all the infallible word of God, only from God, when they are discriminating stories.
But I have to, is it okay if I share
Yes.
one of my stories with you?
Oh, would love it.
Actually, 2 stories. I want your thoughts on one. But one time, now I have like 16 Bibles in my house. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I purchased a Bible for my husband, and the family Bible, and was writing things in it. And I said, I think I'm going to set that for my winter plan. I'm going to read the Bible from cover to cover.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I sat down and I just opened it up and I read it. And it was hellfire and brimstone, which is something that doesn't resonate with me in any way, shape, or form. But I read the entire chapter. And the next page was, no, God does not believe in this hellfire and brimstone. God is love. God is absolutely, totally love.
That's it.
And only wants the best for you. So yeah, okay, I'm validated. That works. I went to work the next day, and this fellow who had been doing odds and ends in the office for quite a long time came in. I mean, I knew him relatively well, and he was working on the windows, and I did not realize that he was a Baptist deacon.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we get into religion. And he starts quoting the hellfire and brimstone that I had just read the night before.
Right.
And I said, but you have to turn the page. You cannot take it out of context. Have you read the entire chapter? Oh, I don't need to read the entire chapter. This is what it says. It's the word of God. It's in the Bible. I said, but you got to turn the page. Turn the page. Interestingly enough, I read that last night, and I thought,
how about that?
Where did that come from? Or is this a guidance or what? But second story, I would love to have your input on, if I may, which is I was feeling not well. I don't really remember all the circumstances or anything, but I was feeling down and sad. And I was talking to a minister, and she was great. I've known her for a long time, but recently had become a minister. And she said, well, Karen, would it be all right if I laid my hands on you? If you would like some healing? And I said, well, yeah, I'd love some healing. And is it okay if I laid my hands on you? And I said, sure, fine. So she did, and she mumbled a few things, and it was one of the worst experiences I ever had. I was filled with horrible beings around me for days. And I really had to work at saying, okay, guys, no, bye. I have to heal myself somehow. So I will do my own research and I'll heal myself. You guys are not welcome here. Go away. But it was so ever since then, when I hear hands on, I'm saying, oh, no.
So every single one of us have energetic beings around us, according to what we do to make ourselves vulnerable. And I'm just going to give you an example of a client. I should have never worked with her, to be honest, because she hired a witch to cast a spell on a man so that he would fall in love with her, and it didn't work. And then all of a sudden she's got the entities from that dark energy. That's what I'm talking about. We make decisions, we try to manipulate, we try to control, we do things, we drink, we develop addictions. Those attract energies that we're not really happy about having. We don't know we did it. So I told her, I said, there's 5 associated with this, but there's 50 in total. I'm only going to deal with the 5. So I even told her when she left, I said, you're going to feel really good for about 24 hours. And then you're going to feel the pain again, which means you're just ready for the next level of growth, the next level of awareness. I mean, we would never do so much work that you can't recoup. So what happens is that when there are people that haven't done the work themselves, I always tell people, find somebody that has overcome a lot of things and proven the spiritual laws, and then you know for sure. So I'm going to teach you something that will help you for the rest of your life.
Awesome.
So older souls, which is really all that I deal with, is older souls. We have a tendency to want to give and put ourselves in very vulnerable positions. We attract narcissists and people who take, and people who want to take, because they're more aware of your abilities than you are most of the time. So then when they come near you and you feel them, you have those abilities. Your abilities in the 5 senses, and I have a 5 senses course that's almost free. And it talks about the 5 senses and how you communicate with spirit. Your clairsentience, you feel it. And you hear, right? And sometimes you see, but you're not sure you want to see. Sorry, but we're just going with it. You ask for information, I got to give you information.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. This is so much fun. And guys, everyone listening to this podcast, I am feeling right now, I'm feeling the energies coming through me right now. And Tammy is aware of that, even though we are very far apart.
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, my crown chakra is itching and opening. So I know that's happening to you.
Oh, that's
so
cool. It's not that here that I notice.
Yeah. When you feel that, when you feel somebody, we're not taught how to protect ourselves. And it's not really about protecting. It's about taking on energy. A lot of my clients that come to me have taken on so much energy, they don't even know who they are or how they feel, and they're lost and they're depressed. And I'm like, well, no wonder you've been taking on everybody's energy for years. Return to sender. You simply say, I return to sender that which does not belong to me. Now, even better, when you're going to go into a spiritual class or a yoga class or a meditation or something that you know you're opening yourself, you're sitting on the edge of your seat, you want to know about this. You may even be doing this in the interview. This energy is pure because you and I have done a lot of work. Now, it's not totally completely pure, or we would not be breathing here. We still got more work to do. But when the people don't know that they're pure and they don't even know that they have entities, then they will act out what the entities want them to do. And that is to touch another person and transfer and feel and take from, take light energy, almost feed off of it. Like, instead of drinking your blood, I'm going to feed on your energy. So you had something brought to you, laid on you, but you also had something taken from you.
I was wondering about that. So thank you for confirming that.
Yeah, now I'm going to tell you how to fix it.
Okay.
So what you do is, as you say, I return to sender that which does not belong to me. I want high consciousness. And for some people, it's easy just to say Christ consciousness or higher because everybody knows about Jesus. It's not necessarily Jesus, but it's that consciousness, an enlightened soul. You could say Buddha, you could say whoever. And then you also say, you didn't have permission to take what you took, I take that back.
Oh, all right. I've done a variation of who does this belong to?
Yes.
This is not mine. So I am sending it off to the light to be repaired and returned to sender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Repair and return, repair and return.
I would say transmute to love. Transmute this to love. Or when I'm dealing with the person, I have a wild story about a client being in the car with me, and she would come and we would work and go to dinner, and then the next morning work again, and then she'd leave. She spent the night with me. And we got in the car and she's talking to me and asking me questions. And I said, excuse me, just a minute, wait, just a minute. Because there was a guy that was flying down the highway and he got in front of me really quick. He got mad at me, even though he was 2 football fields away. He was going like 100 in a 45. He got mad because I just pulled out on the highway, and he gets in front of me and I'm seeing the energy come to me as his car is speeding away. And he kept talking. I said, you need to stop right now. I need to do something for us. Let me do this. And I said, God, open her eyes, or spirit, open her eyes, if she's ready to see. So the ball of energy that he was projecting, I knew it was a male energy, was coming towards us. And as it came toward us, it went from really small to really large. And right before it hit my car, I had already said, I'm going to return this energy to you because it's none of my business. Because you have this problem with women, because you had this situation with your ex-wife, because you're angry at your mother, because I was telling him all these things. And I said, it's because I love you that I'm sending this back, because if you're not aware of it, and I'm going to ask that you give it 10 times for about 10 seconds, 10 times the feeling, so that you'll know, oh, this is me. And I said, so I returned to sender that which doesn't belong to us. And I said, now, and all of a sudden that energy ball went like this. And when it hit the car and she saw it, his car swerved and he slowed down.
Wow. Wow.
We're not taught, Karen, what our abilities are and how to use them for our good, which means it's really good for all of humanity. So when I return energy, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, this is yours to heal. This is not mine.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think when you are serving from love, and that is everything.
Yes.
So another incident, I used to work in a place that was filled with love, and it was the most wonderful, magical, healing place. And as time progressed, it became less and less. And then someone painted a picture of an Indian goddess on the wall. And I could no longer go into that room.
Wow.
I mean, I couldn't stand, the doors would be open. I couldn't stand in the pathway of that room. And so I went to somebody who, I'm still learning a lot from you today. Thank you. And I said, I have to stand over here, but I have a question for you, because you are psychic, you're a medium, you know these things. Why is this affecting me this way? Everyone else goes into the room and says, oh, how wonderful, how beautiful. And I can't even step in there. And finally she said, well, it's because that's very high energy and you're very low energy. And I thought, that's not what I've been told before. That's odd. No. So I went to somebody else, and everything aligned. This woman is so amazing in the work she does, much like you. And she, her schedule fills up immediately. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be able to get her. I went downstairs and I said, oh, what happened to her last person of the day? And well, she never showed up. I said, well, do you mind staying and working on me? Because I need it. I'm trying to understand this negative energy when I'm not really feeling it, but there is something going on and I don't know what it is. So I went to her, and it was so healing for me, because she almost started crying, and she said, no, you are anything but lower energy. You are anything but, and thank you for letting me work on you. It has been my honor. And I thought, whoa, where did that come from?
Yeah. And there's the example of people being well-meaning, but not really giving you the truth. The truth is the only thing that sets you free.
Well, and then it's a choice too, isn't it? It's a choice of what truth you're aiming to.
Well, what your belief system is, I would say. What is your perception? Your perception is something that you keep thinking about, and then that turns into a belief system. And once that's programmed in your GPS, then you're going there whether you like it or not. So a lot of the work that I do is going into the subconscious, into where you program the GPS, and then knowing what your curriculum is and what your life purpose and what your mission is, and then what sort of things have you stuck.
I love it.
Once you give a person that clarity and you're explaining their life and putting their puzzle of their life together, they're no longer self-abusive, and they understand themselves, and then they're more gracious, and then they start really going on that journey of freedom and doing what they really wanted to do here.
No, it's like I always say, you change your perception, you change your truth. And
absolutely.
And when
change
you are able to do that. And for me, it took, and it's still taking, years and years, but it is a growth process. And having guides and guidance like Tammy De Mirza is absolutely amazing. And as a good friend of mine, my colleague, if you have been to the magical tea parties, which I encourage you to do once a month, Janet Uribe and myself have. Janet is always sharing how fast things occur when you meet with Tammy De Mirza, and how wonderful it absolutely is. And also listen to the Everyday Wholeness Show podcast with Janet Uribe and myself. And again, it's, oh yeah, my mentor, my guide, Tammy De Mirza, is moving me forward. So that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you here. And I can't believe our time is just flown by. And I could talk to you forever, but I so appreciate your willingness to come on the Awesome Life podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Because your wisdom is huge for all of the women out there who may be in the same boat that you were in and just don't know where to go with it, or suffering and they don't know quite why. Please, please, please reach out to Tammy. And Tammy, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, there's 2 books on Amazon, one called The 65 Signs That You're an Older Soul. I work predominantly with older souls that don't even know they're older souls, and they're all identical. They all check the same boxes of issues and commonalities. So I started writing about that. My website is tammydemirza.com. And right now, I don't know how long I'm going to do this, but if you sign up for my website, when you get the welcome email, you can ask me an intuitive question, and I'll answer you for free as your intuitive. You'd be surprised how many people go on, but they never ask me the question. And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you for being a part of our family. Because there's a lot of free content. I'm on YouTube. I'm on all social media. I'm doing workshops. I'm putting out a lot more material. And you'll find out what's coming up first if you go on my website and sign up for the email. Okay. Sometimes I'm giving recipes like homemade cranberry sauce. Or how to make your shaver stay for years.
Oh, wow. Wow. You see, she is real. It isn't all spiritual and angels and guidance and healing. She's the real deal. She's the real deal. That's all I can tell you. So thank you again. And
Thank you.
all of her information will be in the show notes. Please reach out to her. And if I can help you in any way, help create that awesome life. If I can be of guidance and assistance in that, I am honored to do that as well. So until next time, and I hope that you will join us again, Tammy.
Thank you.
And thank you, guests, and thank you, listeners, for enjoying awesome life. Bye-bye.